she'll have the, I was wanting to go over and visit her in West Bay. She said, I can't. The chemo is just killing her. You know, she's down to 103 pounds.
What are we talking about?
I know.
She wasn't that much more than that, I don't think. I remember her being very small.
15. Treated myself for 1 week. It was so totally.
Is this new?
I'm busy with this, I'll get to you.
Good. So just take a stupid breath every time. Right? And then you have to go to meetings all the way down to the bottom.
I don't know what that was about.
Why like breath?
I know.
Ready?
Let's do this.
Good.
מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, בחמלה. רבה אמונתך, מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, בחמלה. רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Hello, good morning.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, yeah, nice, very nice. Nice to see you all here in our actual chapel. And those on the live stream, hello. We were a little late starting, but I hope that you stayed with us. It should be working and on and functional, and you should be there, and yay. So hopefully that's working. We're going to mention this later, too. This is our last of the 9 o'clocks. Next week, we switch back to the 8:30s. So sorry. We are also not thrilled about it, just so you know, but yes, we are switching back to the 8:30s. It might not be that way forever. We might hopefully find a better system in which we can rotate the clergy. But for now, starting next Shabbat morning, we're going to be back at the 8:30s.
Already yawning.
Yeah. Well, we can't do that now because they're set for the whole year already. Those families have been set. They've invited families. They're made invitations. So
We also have several 12 o'clocks too. So
We-
everything would have to be pushed.
yeah, we have a 10 o'clock and a 12 o'clock service, and so everything sort of sits. Yeah. So, for instance, next Shabbat, you should certainly join us for the entirety of Shabbat because Friday night is our welcome back Shabbat. It's going to be back into the sanctuary, not in the chapel Friday night, and then back in here Shabbat morning at 8:30, and then we have double B'nai Mitzvah next week. So it is, and then Sunday next week, not tomorrow, but next Sunday is our welcome back to shul with our food trucks, and we already have 200 people who are registered for that. So come and hang out with us with 7 different food trucks and all kinds of fun activities and things. So we're gonna need a nap on Monday. Yes, but it's nice. It's everyone's back and everyone's back. Everyone's coming. Yeah, everyone's. What's that? The 2 services following Shabbat morning next week, they're both B'nai Mitzvah services. There's one at 10 a.m. and there's one at noon. Yeah, so those are all starting next week. You're invited to everything, by the way. There is not a service on this campus you are not invited to. You are welcome to come to B'nai Mitzvah. It is not a private service, so you can come to either the 10 o'clock or the noon or the evening services, because there are also, not this week, but in the future, there is no such thing as a closed service at Congregation B'nai Israel. So if you feel like you want to come to that service, come to any one of those services, for sure. We'd love to have you. So we started with a little modani, thanking God for allowing us and our souls to be reawakened this morning on this excellent Shabbat morning. And now we're going to thank God for our daily blessings and miracles. Nisim B'chol Yom 175.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin ben yom uven laila. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam atir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish harumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layayev koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'inai utnuma me'afapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'tselem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chori.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Sheked Zimra, our daily, and of course particularly on Shabbat, section of Psalms on page 183.
Baruch she'amar ve'haya ha'olam.
Baruch Hu.
Baruch Osev Reshit.
Baruch Omer ve'oseh.
Baruch Ozerum Kayeh.
Baruch Merachem al haaretz.
Baruch Merachem al habriot.
Baruch Meshalem Sachar Tov L'Reyav.
Baruch Chayil al v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch Hodeh Matzil Baruch Shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one.
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
Blessed is the one whose word is deed.
Blessed is the one who decrees and fulfills.
Blessed is the one who is compassionate towards the world.
Blessed is the one who is compassionate towards all creatures.
Blessed is the one who awards the reverend.
Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring.
Blessed is the one who redeems and saves.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot.
So we will continue Shochen Ad in the middle of page 192.
Shochen ad maharom v'kadosh shemo v'chatzuv ranenu tzadikim Adonai laisharim navatehila בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהלות רבבות שמחה בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלכי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
ועולמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי,
בחייכון וביומכון,
ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לא מהמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה בריחו לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה,
תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ועולמה,
ואמרו
Amen. We continue with our call to worship, and together we stand 195.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach,
לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. We continue Ahava Rabbah, page 198.
Ahava Rabbah Haftanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gedola Vitera, Chamalta Aleinu, Ba'avur Avoteinu Ve'imotenu, Shebatchu Vecha, V'talmedeim Chukei Chayim, V'ha'erenu betoratecha, V'dahabeg libeinu b'mitzvotecha, Ve'yachel levavenu le'ahava u'lira et shemecha, Ve'lo nevosh ve'lo nikalem ve'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kohoshecha הגדול והנורא בהתחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivon Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
201.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובטחנו ממך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amidah 205.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Ha'gibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geulah livnei bneihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, b'chayei hakol atah rav lehoshia, morid ha'atal. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
Kedusha 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. הכנו אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We take time now for our own silent prayers, thoughts, and meditations, beginning here on page 210 through page 219. When you're finished, please be seated. We continue on page 216.
Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barcheinu yotzreinu kulanu kechan be'or panecha. Ki be'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torat Chaim ve'avat chesed u'tzedaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. V'tzom einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eit u'bechol sha'a bishlomecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, Chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat Torah, the Shabbat, the reading, the service for reading the Torah on this fine Shabbat morning, 244.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo hitein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim etiva v'tzoncha et Zion. Tivneh chomot Yerushalayim ki v'chal levad batachnu. Melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael Bidushato Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlul Adonai iti Uneramema Shemo Yachdav.
Please be seated. All right, we're going to chant Torah first this morning. We're going to keep everyone guessing and change it up every week. So this week we're going to chant Torah. We are in the Torah portion of Ekev, which is, I will tell you, in the book of Deuteronomy. It is. Thank you very much. In the book of Deuteronomy, and it is chapter 7, verse 12. 7:12 Deuteronomy. Chapter 7. So you're not very far in Deuteronomy. So there's like a buzzing sound with a number. I don't know if you can hear. I kept hearing it. I don't know what that buzzy sound is. So, is it working? Yeah. All right. Cool. So it's 7:12 is where Deuteronomy 7:12. Go to the book of Deuteronomy. It's the last book in the Torah. And then after you get the last book of the Torah, there it is, the majestic sounds of the ancient Velcro. And it's 7:12. It doesn't get old for me. It doesn't. Like I just every time I'm like, oh. I know it's not even a joke. It's just like a little bit of pain. It's like, wow, gosh, why? I don't think the rabbis. Although I don't think that's tearing. I actually think it's probably halachically kosher. Don't you think? Velcro? I think it is. It's probably halachically kosher. Who's trying to come in? Where are they? Oh, here. Gail. There we go. There we go. Are you chanting from that spot, by the way? Oh, good. Okay, because I made everyone go there, and then you're going to the end. Okay, Ron, please. Remind me Hebrew name. Yamod Uven Moshe ben David Lalilah Torah. We're on page 250 in the Siddur if you want to follow along with the Aliyot. And then Cantor Machik is going to be chanting at the beginning of Ekev.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kervanu la'avodato v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'haya ekev tishme'un et hamishpatim ha'ele ushmatem ve'asitem otam v'shamar Adonai Elohecha lecha et habrit ve'et hachesed asher nishba lavotecha ve'ahei becha uvechecha ve'hirbecha uverech peri v'tincha ufri admatecha Degancha v'tiroshcha v'tarecha shigar alafecha ve'astarot zonecha al hadama asher nishba lavotecha latet lach Baruch tihye mikol ha'amim lo diye vecha akar ve'akara uvim hemtecha ve'hesir Adonai mimcha kol choli v'chol madvei Mitzrayim haraim asher yadata lo yisimam bach untanam bechol sonecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen, amen. Shkoach. Shkoach, shkoach. Okay, friends, we are going to do a little study this morning of Ekev. You were already in the right spot, so that's good. So you found the right Torah portion. And it's nice because this Shabbat morning I didn't hear anyone shout out the page number, so that was good. That was very good. Everyone just found it without page numbers. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. The owl's not working? Yeah, I just heard Gail.
Can you see any? Can you guys see us?
I just heard Gail.
See us, though.
They can't see us?
Camera is on.
Go to the settings. I wonder if it's not picking up the. Yeah, you go to the video. Maybe it's looking for the camera up here and not for the owl. It says meeting owl camera.
Video settings.
Yeah. Video settings. Maybe can you switch it? Switch it. Is there another one? Switch it back to the other one and then switch it back. Yeah, hit that. Okay. Now switch it back to the owl. Let's see if the owl will pick it up now.
Turn the owl on and off.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if we can do it.
If we lose you guys, we will get back to you. Okay, it's just not responding, so now.
Oh, that's better, right?
Yeah, that's a good sign.
It's a good sign. The camera's just off though. Hit the camera on. There you go, on the bottom left. Let's see if that'll turn it on. Is it like stuck or something?
Cannot start video.
All right. One more second, and then we're gonna. Oh, good. That's a good sound. Makes me happy. Is there a bluish tint here? Or is it on there? I know. They actually did. You can see I didn't do very well in it. Audio isn't working either. Okay, tell them we're gonna. So we're if you can hear us in the Zoom room, we're leaving everything. I'm going to try this all over again, and then we're going to have to punt. I'm also going to take out the power. Bye.
Sorry, everyone.
All right, one more second.
This is in both of our smicha degrees, by the way. We learned how to do all this stuff. No, they did. That's why
Yeah,
we're doing it.
that's why we're doing it. All right.
But you had to learn it in Tater before you got to.
Of course, of course. It's on because he's flashing. Owen the owl. it's the computer. It's the computer. It's not the owl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was not behaving itself. All right.
Okay, hold on. Do you want to start? I'll just continue.
I think restart the computer.
Restart the computer?
Mm-hmm. That's what I think. Okay. All right. We're going to start, and then hopefully it'll work. The owl is working. The owl is working for sure. We think it's the computer. We were talking about anyway replacing the computer because it's old anyway. So all this will. Thank you. This was a good sign for us to bring in the other computer for next time. Excellent. We are. We're shutting the whole thing off. We're shutting the whole thing down. Just, yeah. Do you need to get a hammer? Oh, beautiful. Control-Alt-Delete. No, we're just going to unplug it. It's not even Control-Alt-Delete won't work. We have to force close. All right. Now let's return to Torah, which will be nice. Cantor Muchnick, with his degree in computer technology, is going to work on this. And we'll see if it works. But the owl was working, so it's good. All right, let's do the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, not la'asok b'divrei Hewlett-Packard. Okay, great. All right. Although I tell you what the Hebrew word for owl is. It's such a good word. It's not owl. It's yenshuf. Isn't that a good name for a? It seems like it's like onomatopoeia. Doesn't it sound like a yenshuf? I don't know. Maybe just in my head. All right. We are going to. So we are going to not look at the beginning of the Torah portion. Actually, we're going to skip a little. So we're going to go to 8:7. Chapter 8, verse 7. Shouldn't be very far. Maybe one page turn is my guess, at most. So chapter 8, verse 7 is where we're going to look for. We're going to talk a little bit right here, then we're going to jump again. I would like to accomplish 2 jumps today. That would be really, really lovely, if we can get out of the first one. Okay. Linda is not here. So, what are we going to do? We can't read Torah. Okay, you can try, please. All right. Okay, so what do we have? What do we have so far? Right. So okay. So let's go to your. We'll go to your question second. What are we talking about? Let's do context. Where are we? Remind me. So we're in Deuteronomy. What's happening? Where are the Israelites? Let's just refresh ourselves. They're a step away from the land, right? It is the 40th year. Essentially, it's the 39th year and the 11th month. They're on the cusp. They're about to enter. It's the 37-day-long speech from Moses. This is still all happening, right? And so here we are in this verse 7. By the way, in the Torah portion called Ekev, which Ekev means like. It actually has the same root as Yaakov or Jacob. It has the same root. It actually means like as a result of or because, and then there are other drashes that it connects to Yaakov because it also has the same letters as Yaakov, which means heel, because Yaakov's name, Jacob's name, comes from the word heel. So by the way, the modern term for high heels are called akavim. So this is the name for if you own if you want to go and if a woman or a man would like to go and buy high heel shoes, you go to a store in Israel and you go to the section where they're akavim, and those are high heels, and it comes from the same term of like heel. Okay, so fine. So we're in Ekev, and here we are, and we just read verses 7 through 10, and it says. God is bringing you into this good land, this really great place, right? It says a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from a plain and hill. By the way, I met with someone yesterday who does not know the Torah very well. We're going through a few steps of Torah yesterday. I don't know, sometime this week. And we actually read this section, and I said, what are they talking about? And they said, heaven. Right? Because if you look at verse 7, wouldn't that be kind of heaven-like? I mean, it's kind of perfect. Right? God is, first of all, this God is bringing you into this place. So first of all, this is incredible, right? God is bringing you into this place, a land with streams and springs and fountains, with hills and plains. Like, this must be the most perfect place in the universe. This was not a Christian person, actually. So, but it is a beautiful concept, right? If you don't know text really well, it is kind of this perfection. Oh, it's turning on. That's good. Yes. Yeah. There's iron and copper, so the mining is going to go well. Like, there's this place is set up for you forever, right? Because it's this, it's the land is set for you forever and ever and ever. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So this is back to Susie's question. Now, okay. So right. There's this beautiful vision of this streams and the things and the blah blah blah. Now let's go on. So just look at verse 8, right? So it says a land of wheat and barley and vines and figs and pomegranates. Now, what did Israel look like to the Israel when they were looking down at it? Did you think they had figs and vines and pomegranates and olive trees? It's just sand. There's just sand. It's desert. They're looking at desert. So it's interesting that this is what there's honey. I mean, there's honey in here, right? There's like, come on. And then, right, the copper and the iron and all this stuff is going to be in this. What are we talking? What are we talking about? Are they talking about like an imaginary place? Is it Camelot? Is it Brigadoon? Where are they? Ah, interesting. Interesting. Ah, okay. So they're if-then. They're almost like if-then statements. So it goes a little bit against sort of what's the term you use for the recitals? So which is not the little dance you're not talking about. There's a different recital. That's the recitals that Chant Torah likes to do. Different recitals you're talking about. Like, all right, great. What? Like without stopping, like without like ever flowing, right? Like an endless sea of food. Oh, it's updating or something, it looks like? That's what the problem was. Great. That was why it wasn't working. Well, we'll see. That or it's just old and bad. But we'll see. What did you say, Susie? Yeah, look, yeah, it means you will not be without. Yeah, you will, right? So chaser means without. So there's like you will lack nothing. You will lack nothing. So what is this place? What are we talking about? Yes. Yes. So here's the wheat and the barley and the vines and the figs and the pomegranates, the olive trees and the honey. So how many of, yes? Yeah. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Right. But will there be iron in the land? Well, will there be iron in the land? Well, there will be, because they will figure that out, right? So it's also this partnership, this if-then This if-then partnership, by the way, will fit really nicely, by the way, because really I'm taking us to verse 10, because verse 10 for me is the key. But I think all of this leads us to verse 10. So this dialogue we're having about, is it really there yet, or are we partners in this that eventually it will exist? Because right now the Israelites are looking at a bunch of sand, right? And a bunch of desert. Yeah, Bob.
Why are you saying they're looking at a bunch of sand? The spies came back with huge grapevines. They said the land was a good place, but the other guys are too tough for us.
Yeah, so it exists, right? It's
They shouldn't be looking at sand. They should have
it's tillable.
in their head.
Right, it's tillable. So it's also a question of when the spies came. Excellent point. Best Torah portion, by the way, in the entire Torah is when the spies came. That's from when I became bar mitzvah. So it's the best Torah portion in all of the Torah. So thank you for bringing it up, Dr. Bob. I appreciate. It wasn't a plan, right? You brought it up, and I appreciate that since it's the best Torah portion. Thank you. Yes, there'll be some snacks outside. You can have one. By the way, those of you on the live stream who are waiting for the Zoom, we're waiting for it to load. If you're still watching on live stream, stay. We're trying for the Zoom. So hang in. Chant Torah is doing some of his own praying and staring at the screen here. So yes. Okay. So yes, the spies did come back with that gigantic vine. So it's true that the land can produce, right? But it's only producible if there's this partnership for us to till it together, right? It's only producible, which is the same idea of sort of like wheat and barley. Like what does wheat and barley produce for? We don't eat wheat and barley necessarily, do we? Like what do we use wheat and barley for? What's that? We make booze. Yeah, we make booze. We make what else? Soup, bread, right? So all of these things. Well, you can't have the bread, I'm sorry, but the booze you can have. So that's good. Yeah. So first I thought you said boots. And I was like, we don't make boots out of any of those things. But then I was like, booze, utes. So nice. If you can't find a way to weave in my cousin Vinny, it's not a day. It's not a day.
It's like y'all.
Y'all, yeah, it's like y'all. Yes. It is, right. So there's definitely hope that. Sure. Yes. Okay, so nice. So there's this partnership and responsibility. And by the way, these things here in verse 8, the wheat, the barley, the vines, the figs, the pomegranates, the olives, and the honey. How many of those? How many are there? 7. And these are often known as the. No. The 7 species. They're also known as the Shivat Haminim, which are very large in the context of Israel study, as the 7 species of Israel that forever and ever and ever from this point on will be known as the 7 sort of main connectors of Israel when it comes to its food and agricultural system. Yes, so when it comes to Tu B'Shvat and it comes to any sort of arbor-based or agricultural holiday, the 7 species always come up. But by the way, this goes into a ton of text that we're not going to go into, but it is also, it's believed that each one of these things has a Kabbalistic connection to each one of us and our bodies and our connections and our actions. It's a very deep, and actually, we really could spend the next hour just talking about these 7 things because the 7 species are so very important. Are you? We could give a class just on the Shivat HaMinim and on what I am going to be doing, actually, surprise, an Israel course, a three-part Israel course in January. So you'll come. It's an adult education class, and it's going to be, I forget what the dates are, but they're 3 weeks in a row, and an evening class. And it's going to be about Israel, and we're going to do like a light dive, the first one, and then deeper and deeper. It's going to be a three-part. Shallow, mid, and then deep. Those are going to be the 3 weeks. And we're going to start cover politics and music and biblical connections and do all kinds of fun stuff about Israel. So a 3-part Israel course coming at you. I think I'm calling it. I don't remember what I was calling it. Okay, so what am I calling? I'm calling it. Is this my land? Question mark. Oh, I think that's what I'm calling it. Exactly. That's the point. So those are the 7 species. But now look at verse 10. So verse 10 says, when you eat your fill, give thanks to God, for the Lord your God, for the good land which God has given you. Yes. So there you go. So that one verse is the basis of the blessing after the meal. So if you grew up in Jewish summer camps, or you know Jewish summer camps, or you were in a youth group, or any of that stuff, then that part is always sung. Va'achata v'savata v'rachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach baruch ata Adonai al ha'aretz ve'al hamazon. That's the section. It comes from this part of text that we're supposed to give thanks to God. Now, why? So we know motzi, right? We traditionally we can say the blessing before we eat. That one's easier. Why is the blessing after we eat more difficult?
We have to get up and move around.
Yes. Why is it more difficult to? First of all, why is there a blessing before we eat and a blessing after we eat? Why do we need both? Okay, nice. Is it easier to do the blessing before you eat or the blessing after you eat? Or are they equally the same? Before is easier or harder? Easier. Why? You're hungry. You're hungry. So if you ever worked as a server, which I did, unfortunately, I'm not a very good server, but as a server, or you've been in a restaurant. Typically, when you're starving at a restaurant, you can't wait for them to bring you your food. And when you're done and you've plowed through your plate, right, and you've eaten everything, and then you feel disgusting because you've eaten so much food, what's the first thing you want to happen? Well, besides leave the restaurant, but literally, physically with your plate, what's the first thing you want about your plate? Get it away from me! I don't want it. And by the way, the first thing they teach you as a server, one of the first things they teach as a server is the second someone's eating, take the plate away, clear their area, because they're like, you want it so badly, you want to eat the plate when you're hungry, but then afterwards you're like, get it out of my sight. And so that's why they take it away. Or for you to order dessert. But yes, it's also there's like a physiological, like, I don't want this in front of me anymore. You also push it away typically. Like when you're done, you're like, I want to put. How's that going, by the way? You're doing great. So this idea that we're supposed to thank God for the food that we ate is much more complicated. How much more complicated, you ask? Thank you for asking. It's actually believed that if you do not do motzi, or the proper blessing prior to you eating, and the blessing after you eat, it is actually, not theoretically or theologically, but physically, stealing from God. Actual theft, meaning actual, like you are a thief. Why is it believed that if you don't do the blessing before you eat and the blessing after you eat, you're thought to be a thief from God? Why is that? Appreciative of what? Okay. Which is what? Which is everything, right? Which is every morsel that we put in our mouths really comes from God. Everything, right? So you might think like, oh no, you didn't make any of it. Like we made nothing, which is also why the preceding sections talk about this idea that we're in this magical, majestic place that doesn't exist yet, but because we have to become partnership with God, and when you become a partnership with God, that's when you take the barley and you make bread. That's when you take the wheat and you make bread. That's when you have the vines and the figs. But it only happens in the partnership, and the partnership is you also have to thank God because you didn't make any of it. We made none of this. Well, God also wants us to survive, so we have to be able to eat. But that's why you're also thankful for the food before you eat it, and then you eat it, and then you're thankful for the food because you ate it. So, yeah.
In 7:3 is an expression that we all are familiar with. Human being, man does not live on bread alone.
Right.
And that comes out to me as we need to live on the praise that we give God. But the part that follows it says, but that one may live on anything that the eternal decrees. So does that mean that whatever commandments or nurturing God gives us will thrive by following?
Hypothetically, we should, right? I mean, according to what the text says, hypothetically, we should. Yeah? We should be able to do that. Yeah?
I think this whole business of making it more difficult after than before goes a lot further than just food.
Yeah?
Because it's not, you hear these stories about if you're in a sinking boat. Oh, God, if you only saved me from the sinking boat.
Of course.
And then when you get saved, all those promises that you made.
Of course.
Once you're full of food, to still be grateful, you're grateful when you get the food and you're hungry.
Yes.
But to remain grateful after you're satisfied kind of pushes out our human nature to no longer be grateful once we got what we wanted.
Right. Right, absolutely. Right. What kind of transactional relationship do we have with God? Do we have a transactional relationship? Like if oh God, make the car turn on because I'm late for my meeting, right? Oh God, why is my car not turning on? Just turn it on, and then the car turns on, and you're like, okay, fine, thanks God, or that wasn't you, it was me, I did it, right? You didn't do it, I did it. That's nice. That is excellent. By the way, if you want to just fast forward just for a second, it says just go to verse 17 for a second. If you stay in the same chapter, go to verse 17, right? It says, and you say to yourselves, my own power and the might of my own hand has won this wealth for me, right? Because God presumes that we're going to get there one day to think, I did this, right? I did this. I got this house. I made this bread. I have this wealth. I have incurred this fame. I am famous because I did it by myself, right? Just because you do it, right? God's just like, no, you didn't do any of this, right? God gave you everything in the whole way. Like there is air in your lungs because of God, right? Right? We're a little more traditional on this. This is a little more traditional stuff to think about. But to Dr. Bob's point, right? We often attempt to have a transactional relationship with God. This is, by the way, why like Martin Buber goes crazy and writes a book called I, Thou, because right, it's a difficult book to read, but an incredibly beautiful concept because he identifies the fact that we attempt to have transactional relationships with God. It's an if-then statement as opposed to no. That's not how God works. So that's not how this project works with us. We're partners. So it's more complicated than that. What are you going to say?
I was going to say that there are a bunch of parshot after this that do the same thing, like Yitzhakim is, it says if you do this, it's not with,
Right. There are a lot of if-thens because that's a lot of how the commandments work also, right? So that for sure is how we're actually going to look at another if-then. But what this section is talking about is allowing this to get to our heads, and then at some point losing our partnership with God in the middle of it, to be like, no, I did this. I made this bread, right? I made this fire. I did this myself on my own, right? So, but you didn't. It's almost like forsaking your parents or your family or whoever gave this to you to be like, I did this on my own. I did this on my own. I did this my whole life. Really? You don't have support or love or care or shelter or money or whatever. You're doing a little prayer over there. Yeah, I saw you do like a little thank the Lord over there. Yes.
When I was studying for my bar mitzvah, we had a rabbi
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'll repeat for those on the live stream, right? This idea of a sense of awe, right? That in all of our actions, we have to maintain this sense of awe that there's something bigger than us, than just encapsulated in this thing. There's something that the being that we are. There's something larger than that.
God gives you the ability, this awe gives you the ability to do many things that you may be executing on, but it's because of that awe that you do.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, absolutely. There's this sense of awe. It's like making the computer work. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. We're talking about the ark and the animals being created. Yes. Yeah. Is it? We're doing it. That was something right there. That was painful. Yes, save us, Ron.
I'm listening to all this here, and of course, what you're giving us is very traditional and what
Yes.
we all learn from the time we're children. But some people, evolve from these teachings, and they believe more in the cosmic sense of all this here. And to me, there may be a God, although I've never seen it, so I can't really sign on to it.
Yeah.
I feel that somehow science has created everything that we have, and it's science that we should be thankful.
Yeah, look, there are certainly, particularly as Reform Jews and conservative Jews and Reconstructionist Jews, we have the ability to look at God differently, maybe as a higher power or more of a natural source, right, a larger natural source. But that, by the way, either way you look at it, it still puts us into there is something bigger than we are in the world at play here, right? Because we didn't, right? So you can boil down the fruits that we eat to the seed, and you're like, well, I planted the seeds. Well, where did you get the seeds from? Right? You didn't make the seed. Where does the seed come? Where does the soil come from? Right? Nothing comes without the rain. Where does the rain come from? Right? So if you take those steps, by the way, that holiday is coming up right now, right after Yom Kippur. But that's our appreciation of Sukkot, right? The idea of how we are powerless. We are a boat dead in the water without rain. Right, that's what Sukkot is for. So we're supposed to spend 7 days outside in a natural dwelling, for us to look up at the sky and for an entire week just pray for rain, because if it doesn't rain, it doesn't matter how nice the crops, the tilling is, the soil, our equipment. It doesn't make a difference. If it doesn't rain, ain't nothing happening. Right? I mean, you're watching the news. What's happening in Nevada and in Arizona? They have to start watching their water, because there's no water. Where are you going to find it from? It's just not going to happen. So we're not going to get into the political ideas of water or not water. But I'm just saying, there's just an example, right? So there is. So I think that what Ekev is teaching us in this one section is there is a partnership that exists. And if there is no appreciation for the level of this partnership that we have with God, then really we're we're breaking really pieces of the covenant that we have, because this is where the partnership is. And like we read in the back part of 8, right? That there's going to be times when we think to ourselves, "Lo, look how good I am. Like I did this." Right? Look how fabulous I am. But really? I mean, you might be good, but it had to come from somewhere. The training had to come from somewhere, and your abilities had to come from somewhere. And the second that we lose sight of that, really, our whole like internal structure falls apart. That thing's not working? Okay, great. So, yeah. Yeah.
And it can still wind up either perfectly good or something's wrong and it's done the same way. And I've always wondered why.
Right. I mean, because there are natural components, but we have to add them all together, and those have to come from somewhere else. This has to do, by the way, on which we learn about the whole idea of bikurim, which are the first fruits. So if you own orchards, right, according to Jewish law, after you till the soil and it does rain and and the whole thing grows and you get your first fruits, what happens to your first fruits, by the way, that you have? You can't have them. You can't eat them. You can't sell them. You can't use them. You have to donate them, because it reminds you they're not yours, right? In some cases, if you read more Mishnah and Talmud, you have to wait 4 seasons for you to use your stuff. You have to wait 4 seasons to till and for it to function, because it reminds you, that's not mine. I didn't make it. Dr. Bob, yeah.
I just like to comment on the concept of worshiping science. I went to dental school when I graduated in 1974, and there was a ton of things that I was taught that just turned out not to be so. And it was a very scientific education that I had, and I would say 30% is what's left, fundamentals.
What school was it?
University of Pennsylvania. I mean, I tell my students that all the time. You have to appreciate that there's something that all that we believe as truths in science is not always going to stay true. So, as I do believe in science, and I work with it on a daily basis, we have to accept that there's something more as well. When we see things healed, it still has a sense of miracle to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, healing is incredible. Like, we don't do that. Like, we can help healing, right? But the body does healing, right? So. So, yeah. In which part? Well, free will is at play for all of this. So, I mean, again, it's our choice to be able to identify this or not. One has the ability to say to themselves, I did this. I did it on my own. I am the greatest. I am the best. No one else helped me. We have the ability to do that. I have free will to do that. I have a free will to say that. I have a free will to publicize that. I have a free will to tell you that all the time, every time I see you. I'm the best. I don't need your help. I'm good. I'm fine. It's our free will. It's unfortunately. But one would think that also in that free will, we would not do that and say, oh my gosh, everything is did you do it? Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, and the camera's working?
Okay, let's do all that.
Yeah, it's good. We're going to start back. Mode'ani lefane. Oh no, okay. So I mean that's fortunately, unfortunately, that's our free will. I mean, look, let's not get too deep into it, but just to answer the question, one has the ability to murder someone, right? You have the free will to do so. It is just not awful, right? I mean, it's commandments and laws and a sickness and a twistedness and all that stuff, right? However, we have a free will to do whatever we want. So, but I think what God ultimately, I think, tries to tell us in these texts is, I think God is teaching us. God is teaching us. Moses is teaching us through this text that these are the paths that we should try to take as best as we can. So, yeah.
Rabbi, so whether it be God or nature, science, God has created the universe and everything that is in it, including human beings such as ourselves. Probably one of the most miraculous things that has been created, whether it be God or nature, is the human being and the mind that we were given.
Yeah.
So that we were able
To discern, right? The mind is one of the greatest gifts because we can hopefully discern, hopefully, as best as we can.
Our mind has found ways and means of creating whatever it is that we need, and we will continue to do this year, hopefully, infinitum.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost like God is sitting back and watching us like a child develop, because we can help and push a child, and then you watch them develop into whatever it is that you hope that they get smarter and they grow and they grow and they grow, and it's sort of, as long as we sort of feed the mind properly and support, that's the idea. But we have to move on to the next part because we have to do that in about 10 minutes because we can't not do it. So, nice big text jump. We're staying in Ekev, but we're going to chapter 11. We're going to chapter 11, verse 13. So, chapter 11. If then is where you're going to. Yes, chapter 11 is where you're going to. Chapter 11, verse 13 is where you're going. It all worked. Oh, it took you a couple of minutes. Yeah, hi. Oh, yes, thank you. Those of you on the live stream, if you're waiting to come back to the Zoom is back up. Kent Muchnick did his singing magic. He was doing some chanting to the screen, and now it's back up. So those of you on the live stream, if you want to come back to the Zoom, we are back up. It is working, and we are going to hopefully get a new computer starting next week. Right now, 2, but they were up to 5 or something before, but I think they probably left because it wasn't working. But now you can come back if you want to. Hi. All right, so, yes, please. We are on 11:13. Please. Keep going a little bit, please. Okay. Whatever. All right, so there you go. So that is the second paragraph in the Shema. That was what we just read is the second paragraph of the Shema. from 13, from 13 to 21. That is the second paragraph of the Shema. How many paragraphs are there of the Shema? Three. Good. So the first paragraph of the Shema is Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. That's the first paragraph of the Shema. Oh, well, actually, the first paragraph of the Shema, I apologize, is Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai. That's the first paragraph of the Shema. But by the way, the other line, Baruch Shem Kevod, not in text anywhere. So we can speak one day about where that magic little sentence came from, but it is not in the Torah. So the Torah has Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta. That's the first paragraph. This is the second paragraph right here on this page that we just read. That's paragraph number 2. Paragraph number 3 is, that is on page 200 in your Siddur, if you want to look. Page 200 in your Siddur is, that is on page 200 is my guess, 202 rather. On 202 in your Siddur is Vayomer, and that is the third paragraph of the Shema. Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor, daber b'nei Israel. That's when we kissed the tzitzit, right? So that's the third paragraph of the Shema. So first paragraph is Shema, the line of Shema, Ve'ahavta, paragraph number 1. Paragraph number 2 is this here on the page. Paragraph 3 is Vayomer, which is on page 202 that we do on Shabbat mornings together with the Talit. Where is paragraph 2 in the liturgy? How come it's not in the prayer book? Correct. It's only in the conservative and the Orthodox shuls. The Reform movement has never had this paragraph in its liturgy ever. And I'll tell you, the Reform movement in its first inceptions and runs of its prayer book didn't have the third paragraph at all, only had the first paragraph. Then they added Leman Tiskeru. So that is the back half of the third paragraph. So then they moved into the bottom half of the third paragraph. Still no second paragraph. Then in this prayer book that we have in front of us, they at least put in the first full one and the first third one, but there's still no second one anywhere in the Reform movement. So if you grew up in the Reform movement and only the Reform movement and went to Jewish Reform summer camps and never went to the conservative synagogue or an Orthodox synagogue or anything or read anything about this, you would never know there was a second paragraph to the Shema because it doesn't even exist. Why? Why is this paragraph this paragraph that we just read from 13 through 21, why isn't it still, even as an option, like why not just put it in the book? Why is it not even in the book? Gail, yes.
Because they wanted to make it clear that it should be used as a guide, not like to be so rigid, and I really think it's political.
What is it, Matt? What is it? Oh, no, God. Just the second paragraph, you mean, Gail?
Yes, I thought that's what you were asking.
Okay,
Why
okay, I understand.
Reform movement doesn't.
Okay, you think it'd be too political? It'd be too controversial? You're saying?
No, they wanted to make it clear that the Ten Commandments are a guide. Like, for instance, Shabbat, we can make our own interpretation of, to some degree, how we're following Shabbat.
Okay.
That we don't have to be 100% rigid like the Orthodox.
Okay, all right. So it shows a loosening. There's less rigidity, you're saying. It's impressive. I said rigidity before 10:30. Rigidity. Yes. Yeah? Right, but I would argue back to you and say that's in the first paragraph. So why do I have to why do I have to put it in the second paragraph? I'm just to play it out with you. I don't disagree with you. I also don't know why we took it out. I think it can be in the text for us to discuss or not discuss, or do or not do, because there are clearly parts of the liturgy that Congregation B'nai Israel chooses not to do. We skip pages all the time. So we'll skip pages on Shabbat, we skip pages on weekday, we skip pages for the high holidays, we skip pages because of just how we're going to do our own thing. So I don't have it in here. But it's an interesting point because, yes. Why? Interesting, right? So, there's this conversation for those of you who might have not heard on the live stream, that there's this idea in paragraph 2, which is right here, right? That there's this yoke idea, that there's this yoke that we have to carry on us, and maybe the Reform movement really doesn't want that in our liturgy and in our studies and in our practice, let's say hypothetically. So I think, by the way, that's one of the reasons. So there's your silverish star, I would say. All right, yeah. So yeah. All right, yes. You're negotiating for your star color. Yes. Who is that? Marcia, go ahead.
Yes. It says, "Love Adonai your God." That means there's more than one God.
Wait, say that again. I think the bird was chirping at the same time. Say that one more time.
The parakeet's too sensitive.
Oh, the parakeet is sensitive. The parakeet wants to talk as well.
It says, "Love Adonai your God."
Yes.
Which seems to me there are other gods.
Yeah, I think there are. I think that's clear in the Ten Commandments as well. I think that there are we could be lured. It even says, right? Don't be lured. Right? It says, I think that we are susceptible to be lured into praying to other gods, and so I think this text is saying, no, don't do that. Right? There's only one God, so you're only going to pray to the one God and not pray to or be lured into praying to other gods.
There are many gods.
There are many gods. Yeah, I think that, and look, and if we do the 2022 thing. We can even go on to say, beyond a god or an idol, we pray to a lot of things, or a lot of things take our focus away from things that we maybe should be focusing on, right? That we are also lured into doing things that we shouldn't be, because whether it's our time is spent doing things that maybe don't need to be spent on those things, hypothetically. Yeah. Yeah.
Or 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Who does what? Of course, we know that the Orthodox do all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But the other sects of Judaism, for instance, back in my Reconstructionist days in Montreal,
yeah.
My rabbi at that point used to do the first paragraph of the Shema.
Uh-huh.
And then the second we do in silence, but at the end, the rabbi would come in and say, for as long as the heavens remain over the earth, which is the ending of the second paragraph.
Uh-huh.
And the third one, for those who wanted to do it silently,
it was there at least.
There was a pause.
It was there.
But it was not said.
Yeah. I would say that we're the only movement that has removed it. We're the only movement that I know of that you can't even do it if you wanted to. I mean, you'd have to search it out. You have to go to the Torah portion. You have to find the Torah text, and you'd have to study it. So that.
Interesting if somebody were to do research and write an essay.
I think other movements do it. I mean, it's in the conservative. It's in the conservative prayer book. I mean, it's in Sim Shalom. It's in what prayer do you use? You use Sim Shalom? when you were in? No.
No, we did not use Nixon. We used,
No, because it was conservative.
I have it in my office. It's in there though.
Okay.
Behaya was in there.
Okay. Oh, you used well, no, Etz Chaim was the Torah commentary used, but okay, fine, okay. It's okay. It's in there. I'm sure it's in there. The full Shema is in there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Reform movement does make some liturgical changes. We do make liturgical changes. I mean, just think of Hashkivenu. We have changed in this prayer book. We changed a word in the prayer of Hashkivenu, which we do at night, and now when I went to summer camp this past summer, and I was faculty at summer camp, the kids don't even know the other word. The kids are only singing the word that they know from this prayer book that changed Shomrenu. It just changed, it changed from Malkenu, which means our king, right, or our sovereign, if you want to Shomrenu, which means our protector. And they changed the liturgy. They just changed. We just decided to change it. It says Shomrenu in the prayer book. It doesn't say Malkenu. And it's instead of Yotrenu, exactly. So the Reform movement changes the liturgy, and then everyone follows suit, and it just changes. So, and all those kids who are, by the way, who know the words and are dancing around, are like, hey, Shomrenu. They have no idea. They have no idea that the conservative and the Orthodox movements are saying all different word than they are. But so. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's different. And look, and the Reform movement doesn't change words for the sake of changing words because they're like, oh, I want to change words. Most of the words are changed in the Reform movement to create more like egalitarian balance in the language. Because, right, Malkenu means my king, it really does. We try to soften it with a sovereign, right, because that's also. But we completely changed it to Shomrenu, which is neither a sovereign that's male or female, just a protector. So a protector could be male or female or more balanced. So, right, exactly. So from Avinu, which like Av, which means father, to Yotrenu means like our creator or some other version of that, right? So even though a mother or a father is a creator, because they are, right? They are our creators. Yotrenu is more of that creation concept, that we can come from that creative concept. So, again, we change the liturgy. Right. So exactly. At least though, and so there's in the Amidah there's Mechayeh Hakol or Mechayeh Hametim, which means God who brings the dead to life, or brings everything to life. Right. That's the switch. At least, though, in our prayer book, you have an option. There's a parentheses. So at least if you want to stay old school, meaning traditional, like everyone else says it, then we can say Mechayeh HaMetim. But the Reform movement didn't like that either, because we don't want to talk about the messianic concept. So this goes to, there's purpose to the changes. The Reform movement just didn't haphazardly pull things out and change things, but there's a purpose to it. Yeah. This past yesterday? Oh, no. This Friday wasn't so good. Yeah. Yeah, last night wasn't so good. 20 years ago, you were much better. Yeah, last night was just like, it was meh. Yesterday was meh. She said yesterday you were meh. That's what she just said. That's what she just said. Are you going to take that from her? Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So, Marcia, yes. Give us one last comment, then we're going to conclude.
And what this comment is, I don't care what God you worship. It's how you act in humanity and how you treat one another. And I think that's more important than what you call your God.
That's very nice. That is a beautiful way actually to end. Is that is our actions speak much more loudly than all of these dialects. Isaiah said it last week. Yeah, we're still in the comfort zone after the 9th of Av. So that was Isaiah. Yeah. So thank you very much. That's beautiful, Marsha. What?
I don't want your prayers or your sacrifices.
That was just now. It was 9th of Av. It was 9th of Av just now. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. That was a perfect ending for us, Marsha. I really appreciate that. So we're gonna, with the Torah, with our Torah service still, we're still amidst our Torah service. We're going to take a minute to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, of physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If there's a name of someone you are thinking of and you wish to share their name, please share their name at this time.
Mark Davis, Elaine Reiner.
Gerard family, Stu Fruman, Lawrence May, Sandy Tankus, Ken Tankus, those affected by war, violence, and hate crimes.
Mishaberach is on 253. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, uvarech et hacholim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimele rachamim alehem, lachlimam, lepotam, lachzikam, v'ashlach lem refuah shlema min hashamayim, refuat hanefesh urefuat haguf, hashta b'garav zman kariv, v'nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with their compassion, for their health to be restored and their strength be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. Bless you. We conclude our Torah service, Etz Chaim 256.
Eitz Chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar didracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu
Announcements this morning. Our Back to Shul weekend is coming up. That is next week. So that means services 6:30. They will be switching from the chapel to the sanctuary. And we'll also be introducing everyone who works for us. So please join us. It's going to be a really wonderful evening next Friday, 6:30. Then next Shabbat, a week from today, back here in this very room, and at 8:30 though, not at 9 o'clock. And I know in this, yeah, it's actually nice and chilly in here today. And then next Sunday, the 28th, is our welcome back bash with food trucks, lots of food trucks, and I think 7 food trucks, and pizza, and coffee, a coffee truck, and an ice cream truck, and ices, the Kona. So yeah, there's I think there's a grilled cheese and tomato soup truck. I think there's an Asian food. There's an Asian food truck. There's all kinds of fun trucks. So that is on the 28th from 10:30 to 1 o'clock. You can come and hang out and schmooze with us from 10:30 to 1 o'clock. I think there's Name That Tune and stuff. We have all kinds of prizes at Name That Tune. I think the Brotherhood is doing that. Also,
Name that Friday night tune.
Name that Friday night tune. That's what we should do. That's what we should do. Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah. So yes, good. Probably nice, good high holiday stuff from the Sisterhood on the Judaica shop. Also, is our back to school supply drive. So if you haven't had a chance to donate some school supplies, that would be really great. The supplies are going to the Boys and Girls Club, Boca Elementary School, JAFCO Children's Village, and the American Association of Caregiving Youth. So you can either donate it, bring it anytime during the week to us. You can send it directly to our Amazon Smile page, our CBI Amazon Smile page, or bring it when you come for all those events on campus next week. The Barry Glick Brotherhood kickoff, the Brotherhood kickoff is on September 29th. That's at Duffy's. It's going to be, we're going to like a watch party, the Dolphins at the Bengals. So that's going to be fun. And then just a little further away is our Bourbon and Bros, which is in the Sukkah. That's October 12th. That's at 7 p.m. And of course, we are going to Israel. CBI is going to Israel, so come and hang out with us in Israel. It's going to be great. That's in June 11th. I think those are our announcements. We're going to begin. Yes, for Susie, please. For Susie Glatt, you can reach out to her or to either of us if it's easier to Kendra Mashak or myself. There's also a form online, yeah. So when there's a form online, when you register for the high holidays, please decide, and let us know if you're coming early or late. We're trying to figure out where to put all the aliyot and all the honors and stuff. So, sure. It'd be nice to see her. She's working on the audio still. Okay. All right. Yes?
The 3-class thing for the Israel thing they're talking about, is that at all going to be integrated with the Israel trip? Like, are you going to, mention?
Absolutely. 100%. That's what I'm doing in January also, for a nice little last-minute push if you're still on the fence to go. Yes, it's going to definitely incorporate parts of the trip. Absolutely. To go to Israel? No. It's a bus. I mean, a bus filled. So, I mean, up to 50. So we are not there yet. Yeah, we need a minimum of 20 for the trip to go. So from 20 to 50, we have plenty of space at the moment. So yes. Okay, we're going to begin to conclude our service. Aleinu 282. Together we stand.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים. לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו ושמו echad. We
transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Yatom, to Mourner's Kaddish, and we think of in the period of Shloshim, in the immediate 30-day mourning period, Robert A. Rosen, Erwin Diamond, and Florine Sprung, and the yortzites that occur for us on the Shabbat, Herbert Edelman, Michelle Baum, Jesse Bierman, Gary Brody, Michael Cannon, Sadie Cohen, Randy Cowan, Grace Elkins, Stanley Hyman, Charles H. Kenny, Ben Kessel, Augusta Polarstock, and Janet Tesler. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Kaddish Yatom Mourner's Kaddish 294. Yitkadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah ve'almad yivrach cherutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chai echon v'yom echon v'chai dechol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei likudisha brichu נעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. היי שלמה אבא מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say amen. Please be seated. Susie, do you have a question, you said? Yeah. We'll probably be opening the Ark. We are not probably not going to do Hakafut. It's an interesting conversation we had in regards to Hakafut for the high holidays too. We're probably not going to do Hakafut because we're going to probably have people because it's going to be mask optional, and we don't want to walk around with the Torah and maybe make people feel uncomfortable to just have a mass people of walking around. We'll probably do, hopefully, one more year of no Hakafut for the high holidays. We'll probably also not do that because it's mask optional. Because we want people to be able to come in person if they want to and wear a mask and be as comfortable as possible and not have it. Yeah. So yeah. In the Hakafah, just in the Hakafut, you would take the Torah out, like, I don't know how I do it, but we're not going to do it, probably. Yeah, probably not. Like a little circle? Well, yeah, I mean, we could, but yeah. What's that? How long are we going to have the live stream? The live stream is forever. Live stream is forever. No, are you kidding? We got to have you. Yeah, there's live stream here and live stream in the sanctuary. There'll be live stream for. You think so? I think it's very nice today, actually. We're gonna conclude with
Shomer Yisrael.
Whoa, wow, nice. What page?
You kept talking about Guardian of
That's
Israel.
That's true. I love that.
Page 329.
Nice, very nice. Love it.
Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor She'erit Yisrael. Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor She'erit Yisrael. Ve'al Yovad Goyecha, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael. Ha'omrim האומרים שמה ישראל שומר גוי אחד שמור שארית עם אחד Shomer, shomer, goy echad, shemor sheiritam echad. Ve'al yovad, goy echad, ve'al yovad, goy echad. Ham yachadim shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad.
Adonai oz la'amo yiten, Adonai v'orech t'amo v'shalom, may God, who God give strength unto our people to continue to bless us with love and strength and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat